a year and a half, I've been working on one deal, the largest of my career, roughly around $10 billion.
Kobo, professional deal maker with a net worth of over $300 million, whose former business partners include Jack Ma, Roman Abramovich, and the Prime Minister of Qatar.
You see all this shit online, you know? Your competitors wake up at 6, you wake up at 3. 5 fat motherfuckers don't make money. There's a lot of junk out there, you know? Anything other than your name, take your time with the reply. Don't say it's quick. You devalue your statement. A lot of people get their shit twisted. They think, oh, I'll make the money and then I'll have the good life. Bullshit. You can't have that good life or can't have a laugh or can't enjoy it on the way to. You're not going to have it 1 year later.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Money Buys Happiness podcast. Appreciate you tapping in. Honestly, this is probably one of the craziest intros that I could ever give. I mean, we've had so many, amazing guests on. But today we had Kobo, okay? You probably don't know him, and that's on purpose. But this guy is fucking incredible. The rooms he's been in, Roman Abramovich, Jack Ma. This guy was invested in Alibaba before it IPO'd. That is just the tip. That is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to this guy. Wow, I'm honestly speechless. You guys are gonna get so much value from this conversation. I don't even know what else do you want to say.
Listen, over $2 billion in exits, over $10 billion raised. This is only his third interview ever. Okay, that's all I gotta say. It's a long one, but stay tapped in because, listen, I'm blown away. It was another masterclass, guys. Yep. Enjoy the show. We're gonna have him on for part 2 for sure. Part 3, part 4, we need it. Enjoy the show. We'll see you next time. Let's go.
Welcome back to another episode, guys. We got a banger today. Yes. All right, we got our guy Kobo with us sitting right here. Okay. To say your story and your journey and your success is impressive, I think I would be massively understating it. So very excited to go into your story and everything you've done. Now, I know you've been under the radar a little bit, so a lot of our audience might not know who you are. Can you give us just a little background as to who you are and what you do?
Sure. My name's Kobo. I'm from Hong Kong originally. Externally, well, to the public, as I mentioned, they classify me as an asset manager,
okay,
or global strategist, or whatever is sometimes put on those paperworks. But internally, I think I'm more of a deal maker. What I do and what I structure is large scale, high value, high quality, cross-border international deals, many times involving governments, SOEs, which are sovereign, basically sovereign wealth funds or sovereign or organizations or state-run enterprises. I work with a lot, mainly through the Gulf, Asia, sometimes Eastern European countries, but we do large tech or infrastructure-related projects, always exceeding, large numbers. I structure, I capital, source, package. I don't like to say that I do it. I never work myself. It's always different teams for different projects. But that's it in a nutshell, I guess. It gets obviously a little more complicated.
Of course.
But going radar or off radar or below, I'm 50, recently turned, and when I was younger, I started out as a tech entrepreneur.
Okay.
And in that game, I'm sure even until today it hasn't changed. Unfortunately, somebody raises $1 million or $5 million, and they go on a PR tour. They get like a PR, and it's part of the game. I get it. But when you start working with sovereign wealth funds or government entities or government affiliated entities, it doesn't help, certainly not for me in my role.
Yeah.
The last about 5-6 years, I've mainly been working with PRC, or People's Republic of China, state-run enterprises and their money.
Okay.
Okay.
And growing up in Hong Kong, right? Born and raised there. How do you think that shaped your entrepreneurial spirit? Like, was there the culture there? What made you want to be an entrepreneur? Because I know you started at a very early age.
So I tell you, for me, I've never, and even until today, I've never been about building an empire or want to be the richest guy in the world. My goal and, the way I look at it is I want to have a good life. Sometimes, obviously money falls into that, right? But I can assure you, sometimes when the bag gets too big, it's complicated. Your brain starts thinking, how many bags do I got? I forget about that bag, this. Then your brain starts. So I always looked at it, how do I make a nice life? Right? When I was younger, I want to go on vacation, or I want to travel to New York, or I want to eat dinner at that restaurant, or whatever, and then money started coming into it. So I wouldn't necessarily say I had this entrepreneurial spirit. I was trying to have a good life. I grew up in Hong Kong. Hong Kong, it's a great place to grow up. It's a whole vibe there. People wake up in the morning like old school New York, when you wake up and even if you don't have shit to do, when you wake up and you see like 1,000 people running someplace and now people running out the other place, and it's an energy. And as long as you got blood flowing through your veins, you feel that energy. So Hong Kong has that. So when you wake up in the morning, and even if you have like a slow day and like, oh shit, I don't have anything to do today, when you see one guy running up, 20 people running up the elevator, people coming down, people crossing, so there's a vibe in Hong Kong. I left Hong Kong to go to school in London around the age 16, 17. And London was a great spot for me. It was international. All of a sudden, you started meeting. There was a lot of Russian community in later on 97, 98 and everything when the Soviet Union fell. So you had a lot of Russian wealth enter England, a lot of Chinese, a lot of guys from the Gulf. So everybody, and in the States, you didn't necessarily get that, for many political reasons and banking reasons. A lot of those guys couldn't, transfer a lot of wealth over to the United States. London was pretty hot back then. This is, late 90s.
Okay.
So I was living in London, and I think the sort of like birth of like, oh shit, you can make money and making money came from London for me.
Okay.
Not necessarily Hong Kong.
Okay.
I was still young. So London, I think for me, I started seeing money, and and I started understanding levels of money and doors or places that you needed to enter and things that you need to do to get to the money. That happened for me in London.
Okay.
Was there someone there specifically, maybe like a mentor or even a certain moment, something that happened where you're like, oh, okay, this is where I gotta be?
I've been thinking about how crazy this last year has been. The grind, the late nights, the traveling, the constant juggling of all our businesses. It really caught up to me, man. I hit a wall. I couldn't focus. My energy was all over the place. And sleep, forget about it.
Bro, I remember those days. You were running on fumes, man. But I gotta say, I've noticed a shift lately. What's the secret?
It's all about building what I call mental wealth. Think of it like a savings account before your mind. It's about investing in habits today, better sleep, clean diet, consistent exercise, managing stress, and even adding a few external tools to the mix.
Yeah, it's those little tools that make a big difference. That's where Magic Mind came in for us, to be honest. The focus shots, absolute game changer. Just last week, I had a bunch of back-to-back meetings and I was feeling completely drained. But after taking a focus shot, man, I was sharp and more on point than ever. It helped me power through the day without that usual, afternoon slump you usually get.
Honestly, same here. And they're sleep shots, man. They've helped me unwind in a way that I haven't in years. After a late night working on some projects, I took a sleep shot and I was out like a light. I woke up feeling recharged and ready to tackle the day.
Exactly. And for the first time, they've bundled both shots, the focus and sleep shot, into a 24-hour mental performance pack. It's actually 45% off through our exclusive link in the description. And of course, for the podcast listeners, that's magicmind.com/mbhjan, spelled magicmind.com/mbhjan.
If you've been thinking about getting serious about your mental health and mental wealth, now's the time. Join the January Mental Wealth Challenge. It's all about creating new habits. So get this pack and get started.
Check out the link in the description and let's all start building our mental wealth in 2025.
I've been really lucky to have through my career, some pretty good mentors. And it was mostly later on through my career, but yeah, I've had and the weirdest ones you'd ever think about too. I'm Jewish. One of my greatest mentors was the former Prime Minister of Qatar. That guy put me on.
Wow.
His Royal Highness Al Thani at the time was the Prime Minister, and until today he's the chairman of the QIA, which is the Qatar Investment Authority. It's in the top 5 largest sovereign wealth funds in the world. At the time when I was working with them, which was much later, they were at 1.4 trillion under management and capital. So, he and I were also business partners in China years later. But, so mentors, I guess, come in many different shapes and forms, and it wasn't necessarily for me a traditional route. So I went to school in London, and when I came to London, I loved London back then a lot more. It was a good vibe to be, and then the classmates that I met, I met a lot of people that I still am in contact with today. A lot of the crown princes, a lot of sons of, and all that kind of. They were all in London, and
They were classmates of yours?
a lot of them were classmates.
Wow. Okay.
And the worst thing I don't know if it's today I think, but my route was go to school, graduate, get a job.
Continue.
See what happens. Yeah.
That was pretty much the route. That was it. And around the last right before my last year in school, I had a weird encounter with some guys who at the time were 30 years old, and it seemed to me like they were so old. But the internet thing was all happening, and we had a business, and I wasn't a startup guy, and it really wasn't. It was something, I guess, over the summer that erupted. Okay. And we owned the lottery.com domain, and we were basically trying to put the American lottery systems online for the rest of the world. Pretty basic, So if I'm sitting in, in London, and the Powerball, I guess, in Florida hit $1 billion, like it did recently, I can buy a ticket. That was the idea.
Lottery.com, though.
Yeah,
Let's pause on that for a second, because that's incredible.
Would you believe it was purchased through, it was purchased, it wasn't through anybody, it was available.
Like you went on to let's say GoDaddy or one of these, whatever it may have been at the time.
Yeah.
And you purchased.
Available.
That is, okay, what year is this?
Long, 1998, 1999.
Okay, so
something like that.
Okay,
What gives you the idea to purchase that domain?
So the guys that I met, they used to work for a company called Sun Microsystems, which was a big company at the time. They were engineers. And I was in London, and these guys, they didn't speak a word of English, hardly, very bad English. And we were all kind of talking. We had met through mutuals, through school. One of them was the older brother of a cousin. I don't even remember. And I think I was always good at speaking and networking. And, people came to me, and I was always open. I like to think that I never build walls, or I never say I don't speak to this person or that person. I've never been like that. So when we decided to kind of work together, it was very basic. I was a young guy, and they were relatively young, and we said, let's do this, lottery, and we called the company eLottery, and they bought the lottery.com name, and we didn't think of it like, oh shit, got lodged today, of course, but, and about a few months later, Florida, which was really weird, was the only state to play with the tech. To build it, we actually needed a real terminal. The lottery machines are the first internet business online, because it's a cross network between servers and servers. So that was really the first internet business, but we actually needed a terminal. The only terminal and the only state that allowed us was Florida.
Wow.
And that summer we came here to Florida. We were by South Beach area, I think it was like on 4th or 3rd Street. Above, we had an apartment also. We took the apartment. We spent the summer there, above some really shitty supermarket or something. But and if anybody came into the apartment/office and they saw one terminal all ripped open with wires, it looked like we were trying to hack in and break into the lottery. But we had a lawyer in New York, and I'm telling you so quickly, the lawyer in New York more or less took a cut later on like a partner, but sold the company for us. And before we even launched, before everything, this was early days. So when you had like a bunch of, I was 19, 20 years old, and when you see young guys doing stuff around back then, and we sold that company for like about, not that much, but about 1.245, something like that. And I made like, I don't know, 400, $500,000. And that seemed a whole lot of money for me at the time.
Was that your first like exit?
That was the first one. As I said, I don't know if that was like a good thing or bad thing, because it was very tough to go back to school in London.
Of course, after getting that check.
When you had $500,000 with you, and these were older days. This was when you can have a BVI company and offshore bank accounts, and these were different times. At that time, I also wasn't an American citizen, and so it was really easy to move money around back then. So all of a sudden, I'm back in London with I don't know, $500,000 or something, and very difficult to go back to school.
Of course. What do you do? So what do you do?
I had a good friend called Dit. He's still a good friend. I seldom see him. Indian family. Used to be quite affluent. They had just finished a beautiful hotel in, you guys know London? You've been to London?
No, I've been to London. Yeah, I've been.
So there's an area called Holland Park, very chill, beautiful. And they built this beautiful hotel called the Halcyon. It was like the start of like when they boutique hotels, This was like, the whole hotel, it was maybe like 40 rooms, but it was beautiful. And I told you about that good life that I liked. And I lived there for about a year. I moved there, and the adjacent room, Dit gave me a special, long-term, deal. And the adjacent room I turned into an office. And I started buying domains. I was still 20 years old, 21 years old. And the .co.uk domains had just started going like for sale.
Yeah. Wow.
So and having just understood that somebody bought lottery, they didn't really buy it for the tech. There was no tech. Yeah, there were patents and so forth. But I understood it when I met when I sold it. I understood the value of that domain and how it came to play. You know,
Understood.
because I remember the lawyer was like, "Oh, we'll give you the patents, but we'll keep the domain." And they were like, "No." So I understood it. So when the .co UK just came up, I basically took all the friends of mine that were still at LSE or Regents. I went to finance school in London, and I would pay them hourly to come in, and we would buy domains in bulk. Everything with .co UK.
Like what were some of the bigger
Blue.co
ones?
UK, friends.co UK.
Wow.
Anything you could think of. The whole thing was every day you had to go and you had to buy 100 and then you can get out.
So you were paying guys to come in and just say, buy
School friends.
anything you could think of.
All my school friends.
Wow.
All my school friends. So
And-
they
and
come in,
yeah.
and I'm living at this, fancy house,
Yeah.
man, and buying domains. And I used to tell you that I had a vision or something. Fuck no. It was just something, it just came up. You used to buy a bulk of 100 domains, I think, for £3 or something at the
I was going to
time.
ask you how much. £3.
It was really nothing. This is before I had everything,
Yeah.
and the .co just came up, and we were kids, so we were quite assholes. I'd go down the street, and if I'd meet some guy named Peter Jones, buy Peter Jones. I'd tell you, hey, anything goes, anything. And
What was the idea when you were buying them to say, okay, I'm going to sell them right away. I want to hold on to them. Like, what was the
thing? I understood, I wish I could tell you it was a lot more to it, but in basic, I understood lottery.com meant something. I knew it was worth something.
fair?
Yeah.
When the .co UK, I didn't think it was going to be a standard in the market, right? Even today, .co UK has a price, but it's not a .com. But still, I knew that that it was sort of like a land grab, and the more that I can get, eventually I'll figure it out.
Yeah,
Didn't cost me much.
fair.
It gave also, I think it's very important. If you don't go to school or this, people ask you, "Oh, what do you do?" Right? Very seldom, which I don't understand sometimes why even today, there's nothing wrong with saying I'm not doing shit. I haven't figured it out. It's perfectly cool. What'd you do today? Watch TV. Went to the beach. Went to work out. It's totally cool. Not everybody has to have a fucking job. Not everybody has to figure it out. But, 21 or, 20 years old, I was like, I need $500,000, school finished, and got to do something, right? Everybody else is going to JP Morgan, working here, working at the banks, working this. Those guys didn't hire me.
So you knew right away.
They wouldn't hire me.
You made your
So
half a
you,
million
you
bucks.
tried. You tried.
All of them. None of them. Wouldn't even. And it's weird because I had a nice school. I spoke.
I was gonna say, why not? Was there would you get a certain reason? What was it?
When you see a 20-year-old guy back then, that in my face maybe perhaps showed that I had some money. I knew people, and although I was determined and ambitious, it wasn't the breed that they were looking for.
Okay.
And I think it was quite evident in my nature and the way I spoke. I wasn't, although I'd hoped to be, but I wasn't able to do the day-to-day for the next 30 years.
I mean, you're maybe too confident.
I don't think it was confidence, because I didn't have the confidence, because I think when I made a little money, and I used to love London during those years. I was quite well connected in London,
Okay.
from all sorts of people, but I was quite well connected, and when I had made some money, although peanuts even in London back then, it's put me, it gave me a little twinkle in my eye, if you will, and when you go looking for a job, it's not the kind of thing that you want of a future employee.
Fair.
Yeah.
And they were more mature than I am, and I guess they clocked it quite quick. And although maybe they'd like to be, or maybe to be in contact, but I certainly wasn't, the guy that's gonna put in the office and sit there all day, for 22,000 pounds a year or something back then.
And you're saying they could tell.
They can tell.
And that rejection at that age didn't affect your drive or anything like that.
It made me upset.
Yeah, but like a good
All
fire.
my friends, but all my, all the other guys that I knew, and everybody was working. Everybody had a fucking job, And all of a sudden, I'm sitting in,
Buying domains.
I'm sitting at the Halcyon Hotel, and next time we're buying domains. What the hell am going to happen? No idea. But I had fun in London, and I had this nice life. And that company, oddly enough, once again, we bought a lot of domains, and I sold that company to what later on became Nominet, which is one of the largest, domain servicing, hosting companies in the world. I sold that for 2.2 million pounds.
Okay.
And I had no partners, and I sold it maybe 2 years, a year, 18 months later. Right when the $500,000
Perfect timing, right?
Perfect timing. Couldn't pay the bill at the Halcyon anymore.
Yeah.
And,
So I'm guessing at that point you kind of realize you have a knack for building and selling.
no way.
Still no.
No, what did I build?
True, you're just buying domains.
I didn't build shit.
And that exit in specific, like they reached out to you, or were you actively looking to sell the company?
No, God. So a lot of the domains, you understand. I used to go down to the bank. Back then, my bank was NatWest, and I bought natwest.co.uk. We buy every single one. We were real assholes about it.
That's amazing. This is my bank. I'm buying the domain.
I tell you when I understood it was going to be a business, though. I remember I had a friend in New York. We all have, that one guy that's extremely cheap. I'm talking like, like when you go get a coffee, the guy's like, okay, that was, $6.
Yeah.
How you owe me this much? And,
I have a few of those. Yeah.
So I had one guy friend like that in New York, and the cheapest guy in the world. And I bought his name, and I bought his name.com even, right?
Wow. Nice. Okay, a little more expensive.
Yeah. And I decided to play a test, and I sent him, and back then, even then, emails was everybody's using AOL and all that, but I sent him an email like as if it's coming from a company, and we got and put like 50 other domains, and would you be interested in buying it for $100? It must have cost me, I don't know, nothing, because used to buy
10 cents. Yeah.
It bothered him. It bothered him that someone owned his name, and it took a while, but he bought it for $100. He didn't know it was us in the beginning, and I said, if that guy bought it for $100, and it's going to cost me $1, for example, there's something here.
Yeah.
Some good margins.
And I even if I sold them for $3, it kind of like said people will buy this.
Yeah.
So when I sold the domains, it was really, we had a bulk. I think the last count was well over 20,000 domains.
Wow. So when you sold the business, you guys had 20,000 domains.
It wasn't a business, right? It was just domains.
Well, when you sold this bunch of domains for, you said
2.2 million pounds.
It was just, here you're buying 20,000 domains.
We had a bunch of good ones, right? We had a lot of good ones. We had, and then Spanish kind of popped. A lot of people back then, we had a lot of Spanish. People weren't thinking like, we used to own todosantos.com, right? All of us, or todos.com, or sure. amigos. And
wow.
And you used to, everything that you used to get bored and think of, I'm sitting here, I'm looking at the refrigerator. Refrigerator.com, is that available? No, let's buy it. How about refrigerator.co.uk? I mean, these are silly things. It wasn't a business, but I was 20 years old, 21. Uh-huh. So when I sold that, all of a sudden, the bubble had burst in the United States, right? This was early 2000. Yep. And around London, I got this like name as he does something with the internet.
Okay, he's the internet guy.
He's an internet guy.
Okay. Yeah.
The word exit, nobody used that kind of word. Exit, nobody understood that fucking word back then. What's an, but there's like this internet shit, and that's Odie's in the internet. He knows, he knows about the internet.
Okay.
And I used to go around London, and I used to date pretty girls, and I was 21. I had a Rolls with a drive. Everything that you're not supposed to do, I did. I thought it was fun.
Of course.
They used to have back then the British Airways used to have the Concorde. Used to have 2 hours.
2 hours to New York, yeah.
Man, I used to do that 2 times a week. It was beautiful. I used to go there, fly to New York, have a date, go back. I was,
Incredible.
I thought I was cool. I thought
Yeah.
I was going to be Bill Gates, and it certainly wasn't something planned. So that's another thing, I think so much is put on, and I watch and I read about online, and yeah, I'm an older guy today, but luck, man.
Really?
If you're lucky, shit happens. You could be the hardest working, smartest motherfucker in the world. You could be broke as fuck too.
Damn.
A lot of my professors, smart, hardworking. My grandmother, my grandfather. My grandmother used to work really hard until she died in 94. My grandfather used to go to the docks and pick up shit and put it on his back and unload containers from docks for 47 years. That's some hard fucking work. And then you have a lot of guys, smart guys, working at all the big investment banks. Smarter than me, smarter than this. Broke as fuck. And I think there's a lot of this, people say, oh, work hard, love what you do, passion. For me, you're lucky or you're not. Now, you got to fill out the lottery ticket. You got to work, you're not going to sit back and win the lottery by, staying in bed. But luck, man. A lot of people, it's maybe because it's a formula that we can't control, right? We can't control whether we're going to be lucky or not. But I'm sure you guys, how many times we've seen that person that maybe ain't that bright, ain't the hardest working guy in the room either. I certainly wasn't. But sometimes luck, man.
Yeah.
Then comes the play, do you know how to use the luck? Ooh. Then imagine that combo, lucky, smart, and hardworking.
You're good.
Those motherfuckers are dangerous, right?
That's a very honest response, though, because we interview entrepreneurs of all ages, all industries. We've seen it all, in 250, 300 episodes. And I think that's the most honest response we've ever gotten, to be honest. That luck plays a part. Not many people are willing to say that.
Why?
Because I feel like it goes against the
Everything else,
brand
right?
that they're trying to build, right?
But
A lot
also
of
everything
people,
else, like the hard work, it goes against that part.
which he is saying, right? Like it's, again, you have to fill out the lottery ticket. Like you still got to do the work, but you also need to admit that luck plays a big role in a lot of people's success to whatever extent,
I
right?
would say at least 80% of anything is luck.
Is there a way to increase your luck, your chances of luck?
I don't know. You can go to church more. You can go to temple more. You can have a rabbit's foot. I don't know, whatever the fuck you want. I don't know. A lot of people have different fucking things for they believe, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I maybe I've seen a little bit too much. There's no other formula, right? There's no formula. What formula is there? Go to good school, okay, study that right book, good. I work really, really hard. Woke up at 6 a.m. I see all this crap. Oh, work harder. Work harder than your competitors. Do more than you. Wake up. If your competitors wake up at 6, you wake up at 3. I see all this shit online. Go to the gym. Why, fat motherfuckers don't make money? There's a lot of junk out there, Now, Don't get me wrong, I think that's good for, your mental well-being. First of all, nothing beats good energy. I'd rather sit with a broke motherfucker with good energy than would be with bad energy for money, right? Good energy that brings people in.
Yeah.
Good energy. And if you have a bad day, all good. Stay the fucking home. Or go with another guy that's having a bad day. So you can cry together. But luck, my entire career is based on it.
Wow.
To tell you that and I've been, happy to go into it because, other than the domain stuff, dumb shit that I did. But, when that kind of got around London, that I was this young guy, and you got to understand, all my friends the people that I knew, they were all, came from prominent families. And I'm not talking about, the guy whose dad owns 3 buildings. I'm talking about really, big guys. And all of a sudden I had this name as, this guy that does internet stuff. And it was really weird because all of a sudden I'd go over somebody's house or go, something, and their parents would want to speak to me. Weird, right? Like the father would say, "So what's this, why, what's this asking me questions. And what the hell did I, right? I wasn't an engineer at the time. I mean, yes, through the years I learned, about technology, but certainly not back then. And very quickly, people started giving me money. I wasn't an asset manager. I certainly didn't want to be. I didn't even structure a fund. I mean, I wasn't no management fees, but one guy gave me $500,000, one guy gave me 1 million, one guy. Well, some people I don't, they're little money. Okay. Do something with it. Okay. I accumulated £6 million, and the bubble had burst in the States. I'm from Hong Kong. I flew to Hong Kong. And I switched the Halcyon Hotel for the Hyatt at the time. And I was living at the Hyatt in Hong Kong. I used to wear beautiful suits. I used to wake up every morning and go sit there and, pretending like I'm reading the Financial Times, which I certainly wasn't. And looked for stuff to do with £6 million. I had no idea. None. Wow. But I had £6 million. I had nothing. And I ran into an old friend that I had knew from high school that was one of those guys that was working at Credit Suisse, my dream job.
Nice.
And I started, seeing, the internet in China started forming. Okay. And at the time, you still only had around 20 to 30 million people online in China. Even today, right? And everybody knows, almost 2 billion people and so forth, but there are not 2 billion people online. And even in the Alibaba IPO, when there were only 40 million, 50 million people online. So it was, that whole perception, right? And how far it can go, right? If I told you, let's invest in China, you're thinking 2 billion people. If I told you there's only 30, 40 million people online at the time, the growth would be big.
Yeah.
So I started investing in a lot of these internet companies in China. I couldn't do it directly. So I would piggyback off of more traditional investment firms. So basically I would invest with Credit Suisse. I'd invest with all the other underwriters that there as an investor. These guys could have done it themselves.
So hold on a second. Let's frame this for people that are listening, okay? Because this is very interesting. You took investor money directly.
Investor money invested with me.
With you.
With no management fee, no structure, no please. It was strictly we'll invest with you. I left it up until roughly around 50-50. Okay. Whatever we make, 50-50. Your money goes back.
This is just word of mouth. Hey, this is how we're gonna do the deal. Here's my money, 50-50, whatever you make me, you keep half. So you would take $6 million from.
You gotta understand, I never asked for money. Ever.
Yeah, they gave it to you.
There would be people that I met around London, that wealthy guys that said, take $1 million.
Okay.
Do something with it.
So you were given, we'll reframe it. You were given $6 million.
I didn't have like a website or paperwork
That's what I'm saying.
or a PPM or a subscriber list. None of these things.
You were given $6 million. You go to pounds.
Back then it was
pounds.
a lot.
I know
Yeah,
that's
don't knock it.
That's a big difference.
That's a big difference.
Back then
You're
it
given
was
£6 million. You fly to Hong Kong because you see the internet starting to form there.
Well, yeah, and that was home for me.
Yeah, so it was home.
Right.
So it's kind of
For me,
beautiful.
going to Hong Kong wasn't going to Hong Kong.
You were just going home.
I'm done in London.
Yeah.
I can't hang out anymore at the house.
Yeah.
You know, everybody's already got their jobs. I don't see them much. There's a new wave of people. Other people started going to the States. The First Bank of Boston, a friend of mine, flew back to Boston. Everybody.
Yeah.
And London started changing.
So you go home.
You go home to
I
reset.
go home.
You go home with £6 million.
With 6
You
million
say,
pounds in the
okay,
bank.
I can't invest, let's say, directly in these companies.
I don't know them.
So what I'm going to do is through these banks, I'm basically going to invest as myself.
As a small LP.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't really take 6 million because it's a small chunk.
Correct.
So I have to use old friends that I know. The guy that works at Credit, he was the first. My first was a big thing for me. He really, and he had no choice. But when we were in school together, we were in high school, and he was like I'm not going to say, I won't say that, but he used to smoke a lot of grass when we were kids. And he was like one of those troublemaker kind of kids in school, but we were always good friends. And he got really the star job. He works today at also one of the largest asset management firms in the world in the United States.
Sure.
But back then he was, the tech department at Credit Suisse
Okay.
was like, you gave it to like the 29-year-old, the 25-year-old guys.
The intern, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, what the hell? At that, I'll never forget. Also that year, Time Magazine had just to give you an understanding, a perspective.
Yeah.
Time Magazine issued that summer, I think it was July. Yeah, it was July. They issued, and on the cover was, "Internet, will this thing last?" Wow. Something like that.
I think I've seen that.
I've seen that one. Yeah, I know exactly
So that
what you're
was
talking
July,
about.
okay? I remember it was the summer because I was when I was doing the whole move. It was that, you understand? So people didn't get, Credit Suisse or this or, all these guys had these departments, but they were very young. And they wouldn't bring the main guys to run this little,
They weren't sure. They weren't even sure what it was going to be.
Yeah. You needed a department.
So I want to dive deeper into that. So do you deploy all 6 million?
Me?
Yeah.
Got to leave $1 million for myself.
Okay.
So that's meaning $1 million left in, but all the rest. Was
So you deploy £5 million, you keep $1 million back, and
just in case.
of course. And I have 2 questions to that.
Go.
Are you nervous at all?
Not at all.
Okay, let's dive deeper into that before I go to my second question. Why not?
Wasn't my money.
Yeah.
My profit comes only from profit.
Uh-huh.
The people that invested with me understood that it was high risk, high reward.
Okay.
I would never raise. I never in my life, even I'd never go raise capital. First of all, unless it wasn't from accredited or institution, or basically people that can afford it.
To lose it, yeah.
So when it was given, I was given it with the mandate like, go do something with it.
Okay.
I wasn't like, what's your plan?
Okay.
Yeah,
Right?
this is my last dollars, like make
Exactly.
sure. Yeah.
So it was given to me under that sort of pretense, like, you understand something about this world that we don't know shit about.
Sure.
And, this is, for them at the time, wasn't a lot of money. A lot of them, were casino, a lot in London, they have gambling, right? It's a different vibe than, let's say, Las Vegas. You go there to, their member clubs and all these, and, throwing $1 million or £2 million on a roulette spin at some of these, these casinos, like Ambassadors, Crawford. I mean, you had like, members of the royal family of the, going to these casinos. It was more of a social thing. Mm-hmm. So $500,000 or £1 million to some, kid that, around town that they knew, they liked, or lucky, or I don't know.
Okay, so it wasn't a lot of money. So on that front, you're not really nervous because you're like, well,
I thought it was a good move. It made sense. I couldn't go. I said, well, these guys definitely are smarter than me. Mm-hmm. Some of the, I was a very small LP, right? And And if, God forbid, something went to shit, I can always, having an excuse or where it went. It wasn't like I gave it to somebody directly and it went. So
it went through the bank.
Exactly. I went with the bank. Everything was accredited. Everything was accounted for.
Yes.
It wasn't like I met some guy that said I have an idea for a startup and I gave him £5 million.
Okay, so that, and then what happens next?
Nuts. Luck. This is the lucky shit.
Okay.
This is the lucky shit.
So you deploy 5 million.
£5 million.
What happens?
Less than 2 years later, I think we made almost 16x.
Wow. Okay.
Boom.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Alibaba go IPO. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that IPO.
Of course.
That was nuts. So during those early years, this is like 2003, 2004, later on. So the internet in China was only like forming. So when it died out, bubble burst in the West, you had all the investment bankers come to Hong Kong, right? Come to Beijing. So you had all of them, JP Morgan, you name it. They'd come and they'd take all these Chinese internet companies, Sina, Sohu, Baidu, all of them. They'd get the 2-3% underwriting fee, take them, dump them on the NASDAQ, which is kind of idiotic. You have Beijing, Chinese, basically internet companies. They take 2-3% plus all their other fees, dump them on the NASDAQ where they have to compete against fucking Google or this or Amazon. Who the hell knows what a Sina or Sohu? It's very difficult.
Yeah.
But the underwriters would take their 2-3%, soup up their valuations by $3, $4, $5 billion for some company that at the end of the day had no revenue, no business models, no earning, no profit. But China's got 2 billion people, and what's going to happen? So they were taking, during that time, you can see, even until, every single company that was internet in China was dumped on the NASDAQ.
Yes.
All of them. What's the relation? Right?
Yeah.
Why not the Hang Seng? Why not the Shanghai? But they were all taken because the American underwriting community said, we can sell this.
Yeah.
Luckily, I was involved through
Your
a lot
investments.
of them.
Yeah.
And some of these companies did very well. Alibaba, which was one of them, went to almost, I think at the time it was a multiple of 27.
Wow.
And in the first 3 weeks, it shot up like it was astronomical. In 3 weeks.
So what was your investment in Alibaba?
Well, I never invested directly in Alibaba. I went through as a small LP.
Okay.
Through Credit Suisse.
Okay, can you say what those numbers are? Like what your...
Make a long story short, I invested about £5 million. About close to about 2 years later, I returned all the money back to the investors, and I was sitting on close to around 36 or 40 million pounds.
Personally?
In the company.
In the company, in the LP, yes. That you owned.
That I owned 50%, everything after that.
Wow. And how old are you at this point?
Young as fuck.
Yeah, clearly. Holy shit.
Lucky.
Yeah.
This is what I'm saying. I didn't work. Trust me. I used to wake up every morning. I had the nice driver, the nice, this. I read my point. I lived a very clean life. I was never, I'm not a drinker. I'm not just not my thing. I was around. People saw me. I'd wake up, I'm early. I'm an early bird kind of guy. Always been. I don't sleep much. Always been like that. So, morning, you'd see me at the breakfast place, wherever's supposed to be breakfast, I was there. I was always in a great suit. In the afternoon, you'd see me at that restaurant. I was there. Not because I enjoyed it. I eat bread and, and a tomato, and I'm good to go. But I was there. I understood that was my work.
Okay, I was just about to ask you. So let's actually go into that. Being there,
Hong Kong during those years, yeah.
During that time. So essentially, what you're saying is
flying. I used to fly.
Yeah.
I used to in Hong Kong, London. I used to go, and all those guys that I made their returns, and and I brought them their money back. They were in shock. They didn't understand.
Well, I want people to understand the importance of that, and to the point that you're making, because being there, again, people might be like, well, what does that mean? So what you're saying is wherever it is hot in your industry or whatever it is that you're trying to get into, you need to literally, not from your phone, from your laptop, in person, you need to be there.
Of course. You see something, you be there. Let them see, let them associate, be there.
Yeah.
You know? You when today, well, for the last 20 years, look, I don't build it, right? I'm involved in huge projects that they build. I don't build shit. I take fees. I make fees, right? I think a lot of people in my industry like to fluff it around. When you get a bunch of the asset managers, money managers, whichever term, I don't know, they call themselves private equity now. Nobody calls themselves, investment banking is not as modern or cool as it used to be 20 years ago. But at the end of the day, all of us in this kind of world, when we all sit together, nobody's talking about, we built this amazing this, or we bought this amazing company. It's always like, how much is under management? What fees you take? Right? That's the bottom line. I never built anything awesome like Musk. Musk, is Musk. Changes the world and shit. I don't think I'm smart enough to change the world. I definitely don't have that ambition to change the world. I kind of like the world. As it changes, I'm totally cool with it. I'm cool with I'm okay.
But would you say that's...
But I take fees. That's my role. So if I, deploy capital, raise capital, structure capital, I take fees. So my business comes from moving money.
Okay.
People say to me, what do you, friends will say, what do you do? I deploy, I move money. I say, what does that mean? And it's exactly like what it sounds. Money is the greatest asset. It's what we work for, right? Business that you build is more money, right? So there's always a need for money.
Yeah.
What I might build with it, I don't know, might be really hot today. But money, right? You buy and you sell money. I didn't understand that. I understood it later on, when I began, I'll never forget. A few years after the whole, investment companies, it was called, I remember even the company that I bought, it was called Sino-Shin. It was a shelf company that I wanted, I bought a shelf company in Hong Kong and I needed it really quick. So if you wanted to form it, they wanted like a week or something. But if I was to take one of the existing shelf companies that the accountant had, I could have the bank account, the company, and everything practically in a day. And one of the companies was called Sino-Shin, and that was the company that I used.
Okay.
And all this, later on through the years, a few years after Sino-Shin, when I became partners with the Prime Minister of Qatar, we had a deal, and then I did a deal with the QIA. I'll never forget it. I raised a lot of money with the QIA, over 500 million. And they really put me on. And I don't mean just about money. They put me on in the game, right? And even though today that I don't work with them, not by just recent deals. I've been working more with China, but they put me on the map, right? They said, we work with Odie, and for years later, even until today, it had such weight for me in my career, and I'm sure they've made greater returns and greater things with other people, and but we had this big agreement made. Lawyers, I'm talking like a 70, 80 page agreement. And the capital was based, in trenches. So
sure,
150 million now, and another 200. and the trenches weren't based on achievements or certain. It was just by date, right? So milestone, but based on time.
Okay.
And I remember after like the first two trenches, he said, we need to meet. We used to have all our meetings in Geneva. That's
the meeting place.
That's
Yeah.
all the
Everyone
time.
loves to go there, huh?
Yes. We used to have there's this hotel called the Beau Rivage Hotel. Man, if anybody, even until today, anybody looking to raise capital, go sit at the Beau Rivage. I don't know for how long, go sit there. The Beau Rivage Hotel in Geneva. I mean, I used to get, calls like, and I'm in Beijing. I used to live in Beijing for a few years later, and they used to say, oh, you need to be tomorrow in Geneva. It's a fucking hell of a trip, going from. Of course. I've done that trip, I don't know, 100 times. And every time you go to the Beau Rivage, I mean, it's unbelievable. You go to the Beau Rivage, and every suite there, you got the QIA in one, you got the Saudis in the other. I mean, it is the Gulf. Everybody used to, that is the mean. I used to go to like the lobby and used to see everybody. I'm talking the JP Morgan guys, this guy. I mean, you name it.
Yeah.
And me.
But I feel like that's almost like your secret sauce, It was just being there, as simple as it sounds.
So I was partners with him, and I was saying, I had an agreement, and there was a trench that was due, and they didn't send it. I said, we need to go. We need to discuss. I said, did I do something bad? Like, well, what are you talking about? We have an agreement. And I'll never forget it. He says, no, the price of money went up from when we did the agreement. Do you understand that? It's a fucked up thing to say, right? The price of money went up. Think about it, right? When we did the deal, Odie, the money was worth X amount. And this was now later on 2007, 2008, and there was a big crisis. So now, right, the next tranche, which is due to you, which is we can do a lot more with 150 million than when we did this deal. The price of money went up. So a lot of people, it was a real mind fuck for me. I remember it really I never wanted to manage capital. I hate managing capital. It's an uncomfortable situation. I think, even with all the years and things, any intern at Credit Suisse or Bank of I don't know, whichever bank you can think of can out asset manage me any day of the week. I'm not good at that. So managing capital, it was never something that I set out to do. It also takes a long time to make money from it.
Sure.
I mean, yeah, you make a 2% management fee. Sounds great, but that's only great when you're managing over several $1 billion. Right? If you make, I don't know, if you manage 100 million or 150 million, it's cute. But then you have expenses, right?
Yeah.
The lawyer, the office, the this, that, right? So if you're making, I don't know, 2 million, 3, 4 million off management fees, it's nothing. It only becomes interesting once you're managing 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, $10 billion. To get to that sort of structure is difficult for a one-man show.
Sure.
Then you have to build, you have to come in with what's your uniqueness and all that. So when they told me the price of money went up, I understood very quickly, that what I need to be in the business of is buying and selling money, right? And it was really the guys from the QIA and all the mentors around, because the Prime Minister, we had a very special, I guess, if you will, connection. No idea. The guy took a liking to me. I certainly not the smartest guy he met. Certainly, my background, you don't go to China and invest with a Jewish guy if you're a Qatari. right? It's a weird recipe.
That is a crazy recipe.
Right? Saying, oh, there's a Jewish guy sitting in Beijing, and we're going to put with him, a shitload of money.
Yeah.
And but when I moved, when I was, I think around 26, 27, I had a lot of money for those standards back then. I wasn't married, no kids, just me, and I like to keep things simple. Yeah, I don't own 10,000 apartments, and I don't have 50 buildings. I always looked at it how much I got in the ATM. ATM rich. That was what I was looking for, and and be light, right? I can. And when I permanently moved from London and moved to Hong Kong and later Beijing, I remember I didn't have anywhere to go. I sold my apartment, I sold my car. I didn't have shit, because if I knew that I had my car or my apartment or something and waiting for me in London or in New York or whatever, that I'd go there. And I said, no, I'm not. And when I kind of moved and really kind of took it up a notch, I was in Hong Kong, and I knew the main money after we did quite well with the 6 million pounds. I returned everybody their money in a year and a half, gave everybody their cuts, took my cut, and I said the business is closed. I'm not interested anymore.
Okay.
Because I started seeing that a lot of these internet companies and in China were getting crazy valuations in the billions, and although I was playing in somewhat the similar same field, I wasn't in that realm.
Mm-hmm.
And I understood the money's in Beijing, and I need to at least associate myself. And I assure you, back in 2002, 3, 4, 5, 6, there weren't many foreigners living in Beijing. Now, whether I knew what the fuck to do there or not, it was the association. Where is Odie?
You stood out when you were there.
I stood out.
Mm-hmm.
Where's Odie? He's in Beijing. Beijing. What the fuck's he doing in Beijing? Your brain start thinking.
Yeah.
What's he doing in Beijing? And then when you hear about, some of these companies IPOing and this, you say, oh shit, there's action in Beijing in this. And I put a lot of effort into trying to build things in Beijing earlier on. And I'm talking age 28 to 32.
Okay.
Huge mistake for me. I went to the office every day. I had a lot of employees. I never liked, that type of work. So I wasn't in a good mood. I was extremely arrogant at the age of 30, 31. Very arrogant. So the good energy shit fucks up your brain. And, when you put your own money into things, you have a lot of stress.
Of course.
It's not what I do.
Yeah, you're like, I'm not that guy.
I'm a deal man. I structure deals. I know how to this, but and I didn't know that yet. So when I was in London, and I was raising capital, and London at the time, all through the years, has always been like a lucky spot for me. I had a good name there. And when I had a chance meeting to meet one of the senior advisors to the Prime Minister, it was through London. And when I met him, and then he told me, great, next week come to Beau Rivage. We'll have some meetings there. The people I met at Beau Rivage was, this is luck. It wasn't because I worked so hard. It was luck. The reason that they saw something in me was luck. Tons of guys that were smarter than me, harder working than me. And when I structured my first deal with the Prime Minister directly, I remember like a year later, he said to me, Odie, what would you do if you had $1 billion behind you? It's a fucked up question.
I was gonna say that's a fucking crazy question. Holy shit.
What do you say?
Yeah, to the Prime Minister, by the way.
What do you say? It's a fucked up question, right? Like,
What'd you say?
a young kid, but you can't say that to a young kid, that likes, what do you do with $1 billion? Fuck, I know it sounds weird today. $1 billion is like nothing to, you understand. This is when, what was it? You remember, you guys remember a website called MySpace?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So MySpace was bought for 532 or something, for $500 million by News Corp. That was the biggest shit in the day back then.
Yeah.
530. Today you say to somebody 532.
It's like, you see it all the time.
Yeah, like it's nothing, and we all talk, everybody's, talking about billions and millions and all that. But back then it was a real mindfuck, It was like, you never thought that it can get this world, right? And so when I'd lived in Beijing, when I moved to Beijing, and it's a small town. Sorry for foreigners, not too many of us, around, living there.
Yes.
So I built a really strong, unique network of friends there. Not by choice, it's just who I met. So I met everybody. It was a small town. I met Jack Ma, I met William Dan, every single one of them. And this is before that a lot of them, they were always onto something, but this is way before they became who they became. So it was a small town. So my network in China was impeccable. I was living there. Is it because I'm mad friendly? Fuck no. Is it because I'm super social? I'm asleep by 10. I'm up at 5. I wasn't at the hottest restaurants in Beijing, I assure you. I didn't even know who the fuck they were. I had stress because I was crazy enough to put in my own money into that entity initially. And my profits. I was partners with the Prime Minister of Qatar. I had to do good.
No choice.
He took a chance on me for no fucking reason.
Yeah.
I had to. It became political too.
Sure.
Like I'm fucking it up for all the Jewish boys all around the world. Right?
Gotta hold it down. Yeah.
I gotta hold it down.
Yeah.
It's fuck, And want to hear a funny story? I'll never forget. So when he told me about that $1 billion and the whole thing, I made it out like I knew exactly what the hell to do. I didn't know shit.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm curious what your response to the $1 billion was.
So I learned, even if you know exactly what to say, don't say it quick. You devalue the value. You devalue your statement.
Interesting. What do you mean by that?
Even if I ask you what your name is, right? It's quick, right?
Yeah.
Now, that's your name. I should hope you should know it quick. Anything other than your name, people ask you, take your time with the reply. You offer more weight to the answer. And although I really had no idea what to answer him, I said, I know what to do, but I'd like to present it to you. And, even today, delay, even if you know the answer, delay things. Value only goes up.
That's great advice.
People like, if I gave you 1,000 ideas a minute, which one has value?
Yeah, none of them.
Why? Maybe one of them is really great.
Yeah.
But if I take my time and I speak slower and I come and I present one of them a week later, the perception is there's a lot of thought put into it. There's shit behind it that don't necessarily, you didn't shoot out. There was thought put in. So I came back with an idea that we were going to consolidate the CDN network. What is it? A content distribution network. So in China, 80% or 70% of the market was owned by the PRC, content distribution networks. I knew I used to pay a shitload because I used to look at everybody's bills on if you had video hosting or anything hosting, so, pay a lot. So about 70-somewhat% was owned by the PRC, right, through China Telecom, China this. And then you had some other companies. And I said, we're going to buy them all. We're going to consolidate them. And then we're going to own it. He didn't even, they didn't even know what the hell I was talking about. But it made sense. And he said, great, you need to come to Doha. And you're going to present it to the QIA.
You're like, me?
I was, your age. So I went, tried to make it as simple as possible but clean. Presented, made a lot of sense. And then I went to PwC, KPMG, another company called Hula and Loki. I went to every single one, and I asked them to prepare for me valuation analysis if I was to purchase X amount of companies in this sector and consolidate them. What's the value?
Sure.
1.2 million was what they took from me just to give me their assessment.
Nice.
Everybody likes money, right?
Yeah.
But I basically had documents from three, at the time, the world's most reputable, firms in their field, still today, and telling me that the consolidated value was 1.2 billion and up. Some were at 1.5, 1.6. Great. 50% of that, this comes up to 750 somewhat million, let's say. To consolidate it cost me roughly around 420 to 460 million. So if I say to you that the value, consolidated value is about 1.4 billion, let's say, and I'm going to sell you 50%, so that's 700 somewhat million dollars. So if I buy it for 400 million, 450 million, that means I'm making money into my pocket day one on purchase.
Right off the bat.
You have that. That was the plan. And I learned that through years of, dealing with guys a lot smarter than me. When I raised several hundred million for my company in in Beijing, only years later did I know that they sold my deal. I'm trying to figure out a way how to. Sorry, I apologize if it's coming out. How to explain it with not mentioning everybody's names and so forth. So forgive me. It's not that I'm confused. I'm just trying to figure out the right way to explain it. I raised money for a company in Beijing, and I was supposed to give about roughly around 30% equity for about 150 million.
Okay.
They sold my 30% for 150 for 350 million for 20%. They gave me 150, took 30%, 20% they gave onward, meaning they already made about $200 million on the day of deployment. For me to make $200 million, fuck, I would have had to work very hard for many, 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 many years, avoid dilution, anti-dilute, pro this, find an exit, find a buyer, pay your tax. I don't know when I would have made $200 million. But the money guys took $200 million on the day that I got deployed. Wow. That's how you make money. I'm just sitting there going to work every day. So yeah, I got my 150 million, the first round. Wonderful. But all the senior advisors, they took 200 million day one that I got mine.
Wow.
And an additional, right? Because they were, at the time, they were closer to the source. So this is before I was with the QIA directly. So when I went to the QIA, I said, we got this great company. We're going to invest, 350 million, and we're going to have 20%. They came to me and said, oh, you're going to get 150 million, but we want a third. Back-to-back deals, deal making.
Yeah.
They sold that onwards, right? So when they received 350 million, it goes to their company first.
Yes.
Their company invests with me with 150 million, 200 million stays with them. 20% they back to the source, left another 13% to them for who knows what will happen. And they made money day one. Then I understood I'm in the wrong business. So I'm trying to have a good life. I'm not trying to change the world. I like the world. So it was there, and I apologize for being messy because it's a bit difficult for me because I've had later on years of working with them. I cannot, but so when I learned from that and when I went to the Doha and presented the CDN, it was learning what had been done to me a few years before.
Yes.
With their guidance.
Yes.
I was always partners with them. So when I said, here's KPMG, PwC, so forth, who I look, giving you an average of a 1.4 billion consolidation value, and I'm selling 50%. So it's 50%, 700 billion. To consolidate cost me roughly 4. Everything was amazing, right? Until one guy, just from one of the entities, would just refused to sell to me. Refused. I offered him more. I can offer more. Because for me, I had a different, of course.
You had the difference.
It's why today, when you look at real estate today, very rarely do you actually see that one guy, that one developer going in and buying these huge skyscrapers themselves. It's all funds. Because a fund, they value them, right? They don't, if I'm using my own money or leveraging capital or taking a loan from a bank or so forth, stress is on me. I have to pull out my analysts and my calculators and yield and blah, 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 and how much I'm going to spend per square foot and the comparables and blah, 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 and if I raise the rent, if I change the floor, and all this fucking crazy shit. And some fund manager who just basically wants to show a reward as an icon piece in his thing, let's say if the building is worth 400 or 500 million, he'll come in and say 800 million.
Yeah, it makes his fund look good.
Can raise more.
Yeah.
So it's a different game. We all have different incentives. His incentives, right? He doesn't need to break. If he's doing 14, 16% a year, he's doing good.
Sure.
He's a superstar.
Sure.
For the other guy that's raising it from the bank, that won't even cover base fees. Changed the game a little bit. So when I went and I presented it to everybody, I went through all the CDN companies. One guy, I'll never forget his name, Joshua Chen. And Joshua Chen, I wanted his entity, he was the big one, I wanted him to be the group CEO. And his company maybe at the time, through the highest valuation, I don't know how you could do it, maybe it was worth 110. I gave him $180 million to sell to me.
He said no.
Wouldn't sell. Took him to dinner, took his wife to dinner, everything. The whole, put on the charm, everything. Joshua Chen did not sell to me. I said,
yeah.
Joshua Chen is one of those individuals that you gotta respect people like that. He had a purpose. He thought he was going to change the world, and he built that company out of fucking nothing. You gotta respect people like that. I hated him for a long time. I was supposed to make a lot of money. And then when I go back to Beau Rivage in Geneva, it was really difficult because I got the okay to go buy. But then they said to me, oh, okay, good. But we'd still like to do stuff with you. I said, okay. And you're going to need more than $700-something million. And I raised $980 million. This is when they put me on.
Mm-hmm.
I said, no one's going to believe me. I didn't even have an office. They sent me to a bank in Amsterdam the next day. I walk into this big bank in Amsterdam. Forest Bank, I think I can say that today. I sat there, they waited for me like as if I owned the bank. I came there with my suit, just me. And they told the bank managing director to basically provide for me a letter of proof of funds that Mr. Kobo has authority over. I used to have this piece of paper rolled up, put in my jacket. I didn't walk around. I think it was with me everywhere. I went for a long time. Anybody used to doubt me when I used to talk about structuring, wanting to structure something. I used to just pull it out. $980 million, you know.
Wow. Fuck you.
That was the thing, but I knew I had to make a move.
Uh-huh.
And I still wasn't in the business that I wanted to be, because I'm in that business that I have to do something with it.
Mm-hmm.
If my business was structuring or fees, I would have already made money off that money.
Mm-hmm.
Now I got to do something with it. I'm lazy. I don't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
Difficult to deploy large cash.
Of course.
And if you deploy it in multiple avenues, it's a lot of analysts and a lot of monitoring. And when am I going to see the money?
Mm-hmm.
And for me to make money, that means I got to first make 980 million.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then anything about it's complicated, right?
Mm-hmm.
Shit, how do I know how to go make $1 billion? Meaning only after $1 billion do I make money.
Yes.
Wow. Fuck.
It's crazy.
Crazy.
Daunting, yeah.
Think about it, right? You're like, shit. Very complicated. They sent me to the States to try to go buy MTV.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. This was reported in some place, but I never discussed it. When I was a kid, I used to have, a couple of, on my wall in my room, a couple of, I think it was Run DMC, Beastie Boys, and all that. Couple of Sports Illustrated girls on the wall,
Mm-hmm.
of course. And one of them was fucking Sumner Redstone. Okay?
Nice.
He was doing that. There's a couple of dudes that I used to like really, right? He was one of them. Around during those years, National Amusement, Sumner Viacom, everything was crashing. At the time, some of the sovereign funds, not just the QIA, thought that it was an interesting asset to own, to delist it under the Viacom National Amusements and have it on its own. And what crazy, retarded kid can we send to go speak to see if maybe we can have a deal and buy it?
Yeah.
I know the guy. I sent Odie over.
Crazy.
Got nothing to lose. I'm resourceful. Through one guy, through another guy, through another guy. I know how to. Said, I can do it.
Mm.
And I went to go meet Redstone's daughter. They had a big, she through National Amusements owned a large part, and they had a big dispute through the family. It's a big mess. And through that, I went to go and I had a meeting with one of my heroes. And he hated me off the bat because here I am coming in like a messenger, as a vulture. Man, that fucked me up. That very much fucked me up because that's not me. So I tried to go and buy something at like 10 cents on the dollar with capital that wasn't mine, an asset that I really liked, from a person I really admired. That fucked me up. And I never wanted to do shit like that again. And a year later, I sold all my assets to the Qataris. I made a lot of money. I broke the number that I had in my brain, you know, the 100 million mark that, you know, you put in your brain that's supposed to be enough.
Mm-hmm.
But that thing with Redstone, you know, really fucked me up. And
Why though? Like what was it? What was it that?
you ever like something? I don't know the guy, right? You have someone you admire?
There's a few people, yeah.
Who's one?
Right now,
anybody.
no, right now,
Give me
so
somebody.
someone I really admire is Dave Portnoy. I don't know if you're familiar.
Of course I know.
Barstool.
I
Yeah.
love him, pizza guy. I love
Yeah,
the whole thing.
I love Dave
everything. I love that. I love everything about it. I love it. First of all, on the whole pizza thing, but I love his whole moves with Barstool, and
Yeah.
I even bought it back. I'm a big fan. Imagine, I don't know, he's going through a down stage, and someone sends you somebody that you look up to or admire the path that he's taken and decisions that he's taken, to go buy him at 10 cents on the dollar and take advantage of him.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like a piece of shit, don't you?
Yeah. I can
Is
see how
that
that.
how you turned out to be in life? No. I got cursed out by Samuel Redstone, by the way.
Could imagine,
and he did
yeah.
it like a G, and I deserved every fuck you I received. I deserved. But it really, you know, and that story leaked out somewhere, and I took a lawyer that I didn't know, and the lawyer, but you know, it was very difficult for me to speak because I couldn't speak because the capital, you know, it's very complicated. But I knew back then, 2008, 9, that was it for me. I'm no longer, you know, going to do stuff like that. Buying companies and things. And then I switched paths. And I've been on a different path. And I understood I don't want to own assets. That's not me. It's too complicated for me. And let other people build, people that are more built for it, more, you know, more educated to do it, more experienced to do it, get off on it, can do a much better job. Me, I lose interest.
So what did you transition?
The last year and a half, sorry, almost 2 years. I've been working a year and a half. I've been working on one deal. One deal I did. Quite a large deal recently. The largest of my career. Roughly around $10 billion.
Okay.
I'm certainly not the only piece in the puzzle, but it's my puzzle. And took a year and a half, multiple cross-government deal in Egypt. A lot of capital from China. A lot of moving pieces. Super talented people. But I take my piece.
Hell yeah. Can you disclose what the actual deal is or what it's for or?
Data centers.
Cool.
Data centers.
Data centers today, I mean, data centers, look, if plastic cups are generating a lot of capital or a lot of money was moving, I'd go into the plastic cup business. Today, data centers draw a significant amount of interest from every single corner of the world. So you got the BlackRocks doing 100 billion, you got Microsoft, you got this government, you got everybody's, it's a hot sector.
And so $10 billion deal, correct? What? Because our audience is listening to that and it's blowing their mind.
It's not just me, by the way.
Of course. There's many people involved, right? But I want to know more. So what goes into a deal like that?
So once again, I say it all the time. And I said it to you in the start.
Yeah.
Luck, 80% luck.
Yeah.
So what goes into that deal? A deal maker, no matter how good you are of a deal maker, you can never do a deal if the other side doesn't have a deal maker. Because then you're just like shadow boxing, right? If you're a boxer, you can only spar.
Yeah.
You can only go for a fight if there's another boxer in front of you.
Okay.
Otherwise, you're just working out.
Yeah.
So, most important thing, no matter what you're trying to do,
Yeah.
trying to sell an internet company, the other side has to have one like you. And there's two deal makers.
Now you can dance.
Exactly. I was lucky enough that, first of all, there's about 4 deal makers, including myself, involved. 2 are on my side of the equation, if you feel. And Chinese guys. It's funny, I see myself as Chinese, by the way. Everybody laughs, but when I was younger, they used to call me Nuri Yutai, which means the young Jew. That's my nickname. Today, it's just Yutai. It was just the Jew. So amongst the, and these are high up guys, by the way. They still refer to me as bring the Yutai.
Yeah.
And when I moved to Beijing, and I had a lot of capital supporting me, I used, when you're a foreigner in Beijing, who the heck's going to talk to me, right?
Yeah.
So you got to throw money around. I threw money around to the local market. Everyone's like, yo, there's this crazy, guy around here just throwing cash. Because if you throw cash, then people are going to come to me.
Opens doors.
Of course. You attract them.
People are going to come to me. Otherwise, who the fuck going to speak to me?
Yeah.
What for? Not that interesting.
Yeah.
But when they knew, he's throwing money around. Any company, if you were an ad company, nope, here's money. You Chinese, you in Beijing, take money.
Wow.
So I had history from, a lot of them became big guys. And, I had history from 20 years ago that I was living in Beijing, throwing money around. And I always used to say, this is my crew. This is I'm Chinese, man. Don't get this twisted.
Yeah.
I'm from Hong Kong. So when I came into the picture, my other 2 partners on the deal, we started, about 2 years ago. It was also a bit before the chat GPT and the whole AI, but, we all know obviously today that AI is, overtaken by almost twofold the allocation into IT investments. I mean, a few years ago, everybody was crypto and this, today it's all AI.
Yeah.
And even though you have an AI application or AI LLM or whatever. You need the infrastructure. So all the money, or that is allocated, has been switched. And I'm talking, even by nations. So sovereign wealth funds, you name it. There's huge allocations, and 2 years ago, there's more today. Even 2 years ago, it was a hot topic. So the three of us, we were discussing, because we make bigger fees of bigger money. Data centers is a big investment. And then we met the counter deal maker, new friend in Egypt, who we've known for a long time, by the way. I initially met him, I think it was like 12 or 14 years ago. A well-known deal maker like me, not affiliated with one entity. He doesn't work at JP Morgan. Similar to what I do, probably a bit more successful, with very strong ties to the Gulf. And like I said, there's a few of us, right? In this kind of world that work in the same regions.
Yeah.
So we know him. And when we discussed the deal and how to structure it, the ambition was to build or to package the world's largest data center, right? It's a lot. If I told you I'm building a data center, I say, cool. I'm building the largest data center
In the world.
Now you'll remember that next.
Yeah, it changes, yeah.
Right? Then it's like, how do we get involved? So that was the initial, concept.
Yeah.
And then there's many moving parts, because when you build a data center, first of all, or we don't want to build it, we're deal makers.
Yeah.
We have no idea how to build it. But we know what's involved. We need capital involved and so forth. You need also certain country that can support that. You can do also a power agreement, how much you're buying megawatt power, right? You need it stabilized. Like, for example, the largest one in the United States, I think, is Citadel Switch, which is in Nevada, roughly around 7 million square foot. But it's very difficult in the U.S. to stabilize you need water distillate, you need water and electricity for cooling, right? So usually the deals in the United States, it's not a stabilized, it goes up and down.
Okay.
That's why the largest current facility is in Inner Mongolia, belongs to China Telecom. It's around 10 million square feet.
Wow.
Just the facility. Now it belongs to now. You can only do deals like that when you deal it with the government, right? So if I can come to the government, like let's say China Telecom, and say, we're coming here, we're going to put in X amount of money, we're going to build the infrastructure, but I want to know that I can, have my own water, my own electricity, and I'm paying X amount, and it needs to be stabilized. Citadel can't do that in the United States. Who are you going to tell it to?
True.
Right? So you need to go to sometimes that's why you get a lot of these big data centers there in some countries that people have to, Google search to figure out where they are exactly.
Yeah.
I've been to Inner Mongolia many times before this. Kazakhstan, Dagestan. These are some of the weird places I've been in the world to raise capital. Simply, I don't have to compete against the JP Morgan out in fucking Dagestan.
Yeah.
I assure you those guys are not putting their money there.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, it started out like with a few deal makers sitting around and discussing what's involved, what needs to be involved, and some of the people that need to be involved. I believe in the next few weeks, some of the stuff should come out, but you'd be surprised. Singapore recently did, not a data center deal, did close to an $86 billion infrastructure deal. It's one of the largest infrastructure deals in the world. I wasn't involved. Would have liked to have been, but I wasn't. One of my partners was. You can't find anything on that online.
Interesting.
$84 billion changed hands about 6 months ago. Can't find anything. But that one fucking guy that, built some fucking app in, I don't know, in California that just raised $3 million from some fucking VC out in Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
He's probably, I don't know, on 10,000 podcasts by now.
I want to simplify this for people because I don't know if people
It's a weird
understand. I understand. I believe I understand it.
I apologize also.
No.
No.
There's a way that I can say things and
course.
I can't.
No.
Of course.
Don't apologize. I want to look at it more from the perspective of, okay, you can correct me wherever I'm wrong because I might be wrong in some places, but I want to simplify this for anyone listening or watching, okay? He asked, what goes into a deal like that? You said first, a couple deal makers come together. Always.
Can't do
And it
nothing without
starts with an idea. So you guys are looking around and saying, where's the money right now? It's data centers.
Where's the big one?
Where's the big money right now?
yeah.
It's data. We're talking
We
tens
make-
of billions of
We make
dollars.
3 to 5% if we're good
Yeah.
on a deal fee.
Yes.
If we structure it through a fund, right? Anybody can open up a fund.
Sure.
I go get a lawyer, 3 months. I'm registered with any regulatory agency. So to open up a fund, easy.
But you don't even really want to do that. You want to be the in between. So
Yes, but if there's a longevity, you also might want to structure a fund because then you get a 2% management. And if it's a 10-year fund, 20% of 10 billion is 2 billion.
on the upside, okay.
Always how to get fees.
Yeah. So deal makers come together. They say, where's the big fucking money? Okay, great. You guys
Where's the big money going?
going.
Yeah.
Understood. Okay, so you guys say it's data centers in this specific example. Now you guys say, okay, how the fuck do we get involved in a meaningful way? Not like, oh, let's go try to find one little data center. No. We are going to present an offer to somebody.
Before, you never present. We're
Okay.
facilitators.
Okay.
Right? When you turned on the water, you're in your kitchen. Who provided? You even know who fucking provided the pipes and the deals? No fucking idea.
No idea, yeah.
Right? You pay your water bill, right? I don't know, for the things. You don't know. It doesn't say, but you got water. You switch it on, it comes out. The mechanisms and the infrastructure and everything to create that pipe and to create that whole thing, right? So the presentation of, if you need to present something, you're at a loss, you're at a down. If I need to present something to you, you're already in a stronger position than I am, and I fucked up already.
So let me rephrase it because I think maybe I
If
just
I'm
used the wrong.
presenting an opportunity to you, I'm selling you.
Yeah. You're done.
I'm done. Go home.
So-
Now, if you need something
And I have it.
and I can facilitate it, it's a different discussion. It's the same discussion.
Yeah, but it's different psychology.
So now, the deal makers don't just come with, right? We're all guys that have, one of my partners, he's about 76 years old. He was doing this since I had diapers on. Very smart guy. But each one of us, first of all, we know one another. So each one of us could bring $1 billion to $2 billion to any project on our own. Now, so that's one. So we say, right, we're not going to bring in some guy because he had some great idea, right? And ideas have no value.
Yeah.
Everybody's got an idea. And so we all know one another quite well. Two of us, myself and one, are very good friends. But it wasn't that, we were like 4 bros just sitting down and saying, yo, what's up? Let's try to make some fees. It became... trying to figure the right way to say it. it became beneficial for us to figure out a way to work together, because if I can bring in, let's say, 1 to 2 billion, and my 2 other colleagues can bring in 1 to 2 billion, and the other can bring a 1.2 billion, then we know that, first of all, we can all together bring a significant amount of capital. Okay, that's one. But we need also a very friendly demographic where we can build things, right? You come to the United States with 5-6 billion, you got to wait in line. You're not the only one. There's too much competition. It's too much, right? So you got to figure out a jurisdiction. You got to pick the geography. And between us 4, are we friendly there? Do we know people there? And is the government stable? Can we actually, sometimes you do deals with a lot of these places and it's not worth the paper that it was rented on. I've been to Angola years ago. I used to spend some time in Angola. Weird country. You have billions and billions and billions coming out of the ground. But very rarely do you see, you drive around and it's one of the saddest things to see. You see little kids, washing their laundry on the sea, which is black from oil refineries. And I'm not talking to you 100 miles out. You're on the shore. And I'm talking, at a distance of easy eyesight, you see Exxon, British Petroleum, right fucking there. And the water's black. They're not profiting anything, right? So it's a wheat, right? So in that country, for example, that there's certain people in the government level that are making a lot of money. Is it good energy? Fuck no. You give me any amount of money to go do shit like that, I can't live well,
Yeah.
I still get all fucking tearied up from Mr. fucking Redstone. Okay, I'm too emotional for that shit. I can't handle that. That's too much bad voodoo for me. I need good. I want to remember. It's not for me. I want to have a good life. People always get shit twisted, man. It's about a good life. I'm sorry for bringing this shit up again. Because if somebody knows how to make a good life with, I don't know, $500,000 a year, motherfucker's a genius.
Facts.
Yeah.
That motherfucker's a genius. I haven't been able to figure it out for $500,000. For me, I'm not as smart as that guy. My good life, unfortunately, costs more.
Yeah.
Means I'm stupid. Because the guys that can have a good life without even the assessment, or obviously we know that you guys don't yet, but you have children, you have this, and I wake up, I have fear. When I became a father, I started late. I have an 8-year-old, a 7-year-old, and a 3-year-old. I'm 50. I started late. I was a bachelor until I was roughly around 35, 36, working. When I became a father at 40, 42, I became weaker. Me at 35, 32, 31, I sat with some of the guys you used to see in movies, in Africa. I've never done arms deals. I don't do, and I've had countless of offers to do that. I've never done an arms deal in my life. I don't fuck with oil. It's you have to see it firsthand to understand what it does to
dirty business.
Yeah.
You have to see it. I don't mean that, there's a lot of money in it. But when you go in some of these countries and see it, it's a fucked. And now, I'm not capable of doing the oil deals with BP and Exxon. I'm the kind of guy that goes into some of these different countries that you actually see the effects of an oil to actually. I'm not Santa Claus. I'm not a saint. but there's certain shit that I can't live with. Stuff like that, no matter how much money I went, won't result for me to my bottom line, which is the good life.
Yeah.
I don't want to wake up at 60 years old and, some kid, I don't know, grew up and has, God forbid, some weird shit, has black seeds or fucking chemicals outside his fucking house, or, and I can't handle that. That's not, I'm in it. So I think that, a lot of people thinking always, and I see this shit online, and, I watch podcasts and people talking, and whatever happened to the good life, it's a good life.
Yeah.
Do what you want, right? Do it. It's called, you need money and all that, but don't try not to do the thing that will really fuck up your soul later on. So, and I'm sorry for drifting off on the conversation.
No. I want to bring it back. I want to bring it back here because I want to pinpoint this one thing, because I think there's value. As a deal maker, like you mentioned, the water, all that stuff, you're looking where the money is, or where it's flowing to heavily, right? Not small numbers. You're looking at big numbers, and you're saying, okay, in my circle of deal makers that are going to maybe be a part of this project that we're looking at, they all need to bring their value in some sense. And if it's a certain amount of money, having connections wherever geographically you're trying to set this thing up, okay, you're a part of the deal makers now. So you get your guys, and essentially you're saying, I know this entity either wants or needs this. I'm going to package it up, and they're going to have, because it's going to be such a good package, it's almost like it's a no-brainer for them to buy this product, this package, right? So earlier on, when you said it was all of the media companies, the 30% of media companies that were privately owned in China, that was your package. In this deal in Egypt specifically, it's data centers, right? Now, when you're building this package, your verbiage is, we're building the world's biggest. So when you're talking about big dollars, the guys who have the big dollars, that's what they want to hear.
Correct.
They want to hear.
But they're not stupid, right? So you have to bring value into it as well.
Of course.
Now, Blackstone, we'll talk about, for example.
Sure.
Blackstone is, Blackstone, I remember, they are, by the way, just to give you just size, the current largest facility is roughly around 10, 11 million square feet. The one that I was lucky enough to be somewhat moving part in is roughly around 32 million square feet.
So you're triple.
Sounds good, right? Everybody, it sounds good. But when Blackstone goes and they raise 25 billion to build a data center, 3 of them, for example, now they're enlarged it to a lot more. That data center, no matter who all these guys are, Microsoft, Blackstone, you name it, at the end of the day, who's going to build it? I'm asking you, who's building it? You ever seen what nationality are you?
I'm Italian.
Italian. You? Italians. I've never seen Italians actually go and fly all the way to Egypt and sit there and 50, 60,000 of them building, actually going to fucking, do the road, do the fucking what, right?
Yeah.
Who are they at the end? They're Chinese.
Chinese, yeah.
No matter where you go, I've been to Angola quite a few times, as I mentioned. You'll drive by Angola and all of a sudden you'll see like a tent city of 60,000 people, all Chinese. In Angola. Who do you think's building all the fucking mines, the refineries? Who do you think's building it?
Chinese?
Great. So at the end of the day, if I'm Blackstone, I guarantee you that at the end of the day, after this, out of that $25 billion budget, there's an allocation for someone to build it. And it's going to be the Chinese. Americans are not going to be flying from fucking beautiful California or Miami Beach.
Yeah.
Saying, there's a job. I got to go sit now in fucking, I don't know where, for the next 2 years, right? And also for the money.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, the Chinese are the ones that build shit. So the president of China in 2013 came up with something called the Belt and Road Initiative. It's brilliant, right? It's the BRI. In infrastructure, it is, and I'm not saying this because I'm Chinese, it is probably the most brilliant initiative that I think any country has come up with, certainly in the last 50, 60 years. So in 2013, the Belt and Road, which is the brainchild, if you will, was basically an initiative set out that on an infrastructure basis is going to basically build outside of China everything. Chinese work on something called EPC deals. Everything you structure with China is usually based on an EPC deal. EPC stands for engineering, procurement, construction. Basically, who's going to fucking build it? So when the Chinese usually come in, and just to give you an idea of size, just this year alone, the BRI allocated over $600 billion just this year.
Wow.
Into infrastructure projects. A lot of people don't know that the airport in Morocco is owned by the Chinese. Do you know that?
I didn't know that specifically, but I know they own a lot of things outside of China.
Outside of China, just to give you an understanding, just perspective basis. First of all, private equity firms in the United States, very true to private, the word equity. How much equity we're getting out of the deal. You'll always see like some sort of, whatever their SPV is or whatever, you'll see the equity. You'll never see a Chinese company actual equity. They don't structure it based on equity. They structure everything based on royalties, which is a revenue share split. So then they're, right? Why do you want to own a lot? It's a fucked up kind of thing. You know what? You told me today, come take equity. I don't want fucking equity in anything. You have equity I got fucking liabilities. I'm on a fucking cap table. And this, and the fucking taxes, fucking this.
Yeah.
Why? I want the butter.
You want cash
cream.
flow. You want
Right.
the cash flow.
So I want a royalties deal, which is basically profit sharing.
Yeah.
So, for example, if I don't know somebody wanted, so just look how brilliant it's a brilliant way to structure infrastructure deals globally. So it comes into China. They know damn well that you're going to need our workforce. So now let's say you wanted to build a data center. Where in Italy from? Your family from?
Abruzzo.
Where's that?
It's central south, 3 hours south of Rome.
You as well?
No, I'm from the south. Also, my mom's from the central and my dad's from the south.
South. Love Italy. But so let's say right now, wanted to go, you needed, I don't know, $1 billion to go build a data center. So for example, let's say I came and I said, here's your $1 billion to go build it. And BlackRock came and said, we'll give you $1.2 billion. So it's a better deal than Odie's deal, right? But after you took your 1.2, you're going to have to go back to have somebody to go build it. And you're going to need like about 40 to 50,000 employees to be deployed instantly to go build something of this nature. So the Chinese can come in and say, first of all, I'll give you 600 million, but I'll do the EPC.
There you go.
At the end of the day, you need it built.
Yeah.
And only if it's built can it generate revenue.
Yes.
So
That's
if I offered
fucking
you more.
Genius, yeah.
That's fucking genius.
So they came over with an EPC deal.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's EPC plus F, which is financing, which is, let's say, the creme de la creme of these structures.
Yeah.
So they'll come in and they'll say, we'll invest, and the EPC structure is ours, and we'll get a 50-50 on the royalties. So now you as an entrepreneur or a developer or whatever you basically get the funding. You get your partners are able to actually build it with you, which is what you really need,
Yeah.
right? And they'll also finance it for you. So now if I came and I'm Blackstone or fucking Micro, you go to Blackstone and Microsoft after it's built to sell it to them.
Yeah.
That's when you go to them. After it's built, then go to them. Now, who can structure deals like that with the BRI? Well, if you know the BRI directly, or the Belt and Road, or the initiative of people in the, and there's many entities. The Qataris we discussed a lot. Have the QIA in the UAE. There's the Abu Dhabi Fund, and in Saudi the PIF, and and everybody. China has 100 of them. They're just not labeled as one. Now the BRI is why it's an initiative. It's not a central pool of funds. So now in China also you have all these massive conglomerates, right? China Power, China Mobile, China Telecom, and they're all also PRC owned. So there's not like that one entrepreneur that owns it all, right? So at the end of the day, it's again the PRC.
State-owned.
So if I'm in if I'm in Kazakhstan, or if I'm in Inner Mongolia, or if I'm in Angola, or if I'm in Egypt, or if I'm in Morocco, and I have a certain thing, doing a deal with the Chinese is not only smarter,
Yeah, it makes more sense.
it's more efficient.
Yeah. That is incredible.
So now, why would I, if I'm now, right, because at the end, the bot, don't worry, everybody, gets it like, who needs to build it?
Yeah.
Where can you deploy 80,000 employees, workers, in a matter of about 45 days? I don't know any other country in the world that
Nowhere
can do
else. Maybe India?
that. No, they don't do that.
No.
Very difficult country. I've tried, it's one country I tried. I never had any luck in it myself. Maybe other people.
Sure.
I'm sure there's, and I know people. But for me,
Yeah.
I spent 4 months living when I was living there, trying to do something horrible for me.
You know what's crazy about this? And I might get fact checked on this, and I might be wrong, but there is a highway, one of the biggest highways in Ontario, Toronto, close. Like it runs through Toronto, the 407, and I believe it was Chinese owned and built. Now it's Spanish owned, but
Remember, very rarely. It's very, very rare. And I'm over 25 years working. It's very rare that you will actually see a cap table on the holding entity to say that it's owned.
Yeah.
They don't own shit.
Royalties, yeah.
For many things. Because when you own, there are certain liabilities that come.
sure. So maybe owned is the wrong word. I'm using the wrong word,
royalties, probably.
but they're involved. I mean, and probably still are, but were involved because I remember reading something that the Chinese were involved in this, and it was a big uproar in our province politics. How is the
Have you seen that? It was very popular online. Everybody looked at it. Everybody looks and sees, the line that they're building in Saudi.
yes,
The crazy
the line. Yeah.
It's crazy. It looks like, the shit that went with, exactly.
Yeah.
And we know there's a lot of money in Saudi, right? Go to the line. I've been.
Okay.
I counted, not one by one, over 100,000 Chinese workers there.
Incredible.
Who do you think is going to build it?
Yeah. That is.
And in that, and they have quite an ambitious time frame.
Yeah. It's a very ambitious time frame.
Now, they didn't need Chinese capital, right?
Yeah.
Saudi has a lot of money. They could have figured it out on themselves.
They needed the workforce.
Price of oil will go down. Price of oil will go up. Eventually, they'll get there. Right? But the Chinese are very much involved. They're on very good relations. So they'll do it together.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of deal makers there as well. At the end of the day,
that's crazy.
You need the Chinese workforce. Now, in addition to the Chinese workforce, all these, back to your the faucet here, when you turn it, I haven't seen it, but I guarantee you it's made in China, those pipes.
Sure. 100%.
Probably 90% of everything you see here.
99% is building.
Great. So now the material, right? So let's discuss the materials, right? Forget the workforce, right? Put that aside. Let's talk about cables, wires, I don't know, we need pipes to go through this. They're not being made in Saudi. So now you understand the brilliance. So the BRI said, no more, right? We have capital, we have the workforce, right? We have the EP engineering procurement, right? We have the ability also to provide the materials required for any infrastructure effort, whether it be building the line or a mining facility or a data center, the workforce, the materials all come from there anyways. So if I'm a BlackRock, I guarantee you that I'll be paying more, right? So for me, if I'm BlackRock, it's costing me $25 billion to go build a 8 million square foot, but the Chinese can do it cheaper, faster, more efficient, quicker.
This is crazy.
But this is how it works.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. It makes a ton of sense. I guess when China had that big, I guess we'll say industrial revolution, for a lack of better terms, I don't know if that's exactly the right way to say it. This is the reason why. Exactly what you're saying is what makes them powerful.
They've been very powerful since before all of us have been around. But
Sure.
what they did that was brilliant is they decided to focus around 12, 15 years ago on not simply being involved, but with their workforce, with their ability, with their capital, to basically take over infrastructure development around the world.
Yeah.
And you won't see them on cap tables. And, and then you'll see some weird SPV in some weird country, that's open and, roughly between 30 to 40 to 50 to 60% of their revenues or future earnings will go to this entity. Now, and then you get also that they also make money on the EPC deals. You can flip those, right? If, for example, let's say we wanted to do a data center in Italy, and the EPC contracts, we can always sell those. So I can go back to China and I can sell an EPC deal, right? Because, so let's say the EPC allocation, let's say, for example, is, I'm just saying, is $500 million allocated to, but somebody in China says, oh, I can do it for 200, so I'll buy that off of you for X amount. And then it becomes a marketplace within itself to build that. So it's got so many moving
Layers,
parts, and I apologize for like that.
So no, this is crazy.
All in all, China's taking over the world.
China has taken over the world.
It's already done.
Outside in infrastructure. Look, I'm a huge. I tell you, I haven't lived in the U.S. for 25 years. I can't tell you. I moved here a year ago, exactly 1 year ago. I love the U.S. and God bless America. And I can't tell you how I feel that the next few years are about to be golden years in the United States. I don't think it, I haven't been myself as excited or optimistic to even be living here.
Yeah.
I wake up, and everyone's got fucking criticism and all this country this and this. Man, I challenge anybody, go live anywhere the fuck you want for a fucking year, anywhere else. You tell me God bless America when the fuck you come back.
That's true.
And there's a lot of things, and no country is perfect by any means. And I'm not taking a political or any of that, nonsense aside. But there's something special going around in the U.S. And although China is stronger, let's say, in certain aspects in this relation of infrastructure investments and structuring and workforce, there is something that is in the United States that cannot compete, right? And over here, we have innovations We have ideas, right? That without those guys like me would be out of a fucking job, right? The guys that invented how to do AI or I don't know. So that stuff is bred here, right? In China, there is no Google. There's Baidu.
Yeah.
There is no PayPal. There is Alipay. There is no, everything has their local counterpart,
Yeah.
right?
Like the WeChat, which is like
WhatsApp,
their WhatsApp.
WeChat.
Well, exactly. No Twitter, but Weibo or this, right? There's the local counterpart, and it's pretty cool if you ask me. If I'm, for the Chinese government, that they, in that sense, protect their own, right? Because if they allowed Facebook to enter China or YouTube or all that shit, then none of the local entrepreneurs would have had a shot, right? If I told you today, hey guys, let's go set up a search engine. Kind of stupid, right?
Yeah, good luck.
No matter how much money we have backing us up, and no matter how brilliant of an engineer, we all three of us might be, that kind of market's a bit cornered right now.
Of course.
So, but what's brilliant about the U.S., right? And I've traveled the world, and I haven't seen it to that extent. Is how it is in the U.S. Ideas are born here. Innovation is born here and tested here first. And without that, guys like me don't have a pot to piss in. We have nothing to sell.
So it's like the innovation happens here and then it's copied elsewhere.
Could be copied, could be duplicated,
Yeah.
could be, one of the greatest things I'm sure, we all love, I love ChatGPT.
Yeah, me too.
I use ChatGPT today, I think, more than Google.
Yeah.
Okay? I don't even reply to an email without it going through my ChatGPT filter. Okay? And, I think it really changed the world, honestly. And I think, robotics is around the corner. Okay.
Yeah.
And then we have companies like NVIDIA that are. So there's things happening here that cannot be duplicated. I mean, a company like ChatGPT could not have come out of fucking, Dagestan.
Yeah, it's true.
Okay. It's just not going to happen there.
Yeah.
And no matter how brilliant some of the people are in Africa or in the Gulf, it just hasn't.
Yeah.
Right. We had never seen it. Right. Internet's been around since I'm a kid. I've never flown to some of these countries to see, oh wow, the tech there is, this product's really kick ass. It's usually some sort of a duplicate of something that's successful here. I use Uber here, and I use I don't know, Uber Eats for delivery of this, right? And it's what I use here, and the ones that they have in other parts of the world are pretty much clones of it.
Yeah.
So otherwise, Uber didn't think it was beneficial or didn't make sense for them to launch in that demographic. So somebody else did one. There's one in Dubai, that's great. There's one in here, that's great.
Sure.
Yep.
So great.
So innovation is here.
Innovation.
Before we get to our famous question, I want to ask you about some of the people that you've been in rooms with, because I think it's very impressive. Now, if there's some that you can't talk about, just let us know. Roman Abramovich, the first guy. Tell me how that comes to be, and tell me what it was like to be in a room with him.
He is one special person. Let me elaborate it. He deserves a lot more than that. He's a cool motherfucker. He's smart. A lot more than I've certainly been around. He's humble. He's cool. You can talk to him about anything from art to music to business to government. There's a mountain of knowledge in every single category. He loves music, by the way. He goes nuts for music. Anything about music is was crazy. He brought once for us Sting to play. Literally, he likes Sting. He likes all music, but he brought Sting to literally yo, what's up? Can you come and play?
Oh, like he booked him. Wow.
Just
Yeah.
like he was
Just for his
coming.
dinner.
Yeah, it was no. I was
Okay.
Mr. Roman Abramovich is a special person in that sense. I like to think of him as one of the greatest deal makers ever.
Wow.
One of the greatest there is. At the end of the day, he's a deal maker.
Yeah.
And that's really what he is. All the things maybe that he invested, with his capital and became owner of, or post the deal structures that he had. I met him, and I actually met first his right hand guy. A lot of people don't know, but he has one partner. It's been his partner for, I think, 30 years. One partner. Everything else, and he's been his guy for many years. And I met him before all the sanctions, and obviously before the war, and years before. He loves playing ping pong. He's really good, better than me. He's a humble guy. He wears a solar watch, those heartbeat things. Has I think an iPhone 8. I think it was the last time I saw. I'll never forget. One time he invited me in the beginning. He invited me to his house in London, and he lives used to live on a street in Kensington Palace Gardens. It's a private, blocked off street. Big, beautiful house. And when I came, I took a taxi. I'm not going to show up to Roman Abramovich as thinking I'm cool or some shit.
Yeah.
I came there, and you get let off by the entrance, and you have to walk. And it's fucking cold in London sometimes. And it was cold that day. And he has one of those big houses with, from the gate to the main houses. And I rang, doorbell. And this was the first time that I came to his house. And he opened the door, and he walked from his front door. And it was a walk. It's not yo, what's up?
Yeah.
Him and his 2 dogs and his slippers. And he came and opened the door for me. No 50 security guards. No, none of that shit. I like people like that.
Yeah.
And I didn't mean to base it around that, but I think it hopefully shows a glimpse of the character of a person.
Yeah.
That's how he welcomed me. And this was 14 years ago. So it was very cool.
Yeah.
He loves art. I like art. He likes music. He likes this, and it's not about money or things, And he's funny. He's a very funny guy. He used to love. I mean, Chelsea for him was everything.
That was his baby. Yeah.
Loved. He could talk to you all day about Chelsea.
It's interesting because you see how the media portrays people like himself, and then you ask someone that actually knows him or has met him.
But that's why I love, I love this media, right? This is what you guys do. And, I don't, I've only given out one time in my life in 2007 was the only time I actually gave an interview to a press.
That's the only one I could find on you.
Nothing. Because they've been and written other things here and there, and there's always different agendas. That's why I love, what you guys do and the power that, I hate to call it social media, but you know, having platforms that you can actually speak to, because everything else is so manipulated, and you know, you're speaking to people that you're not speaking to people that are giving their viewpoint on something and they have no fucking idea about. Right? You know, it's sometimes I don't know how to cook. I don't know how to. I don't know how to cook at all.
You're like me. We're the same.
Same.
We're the same.
No fucking idea. I can't even. Honestly, I don't even know how to make a fucking omelet. I just don't. It's not. It doesn't interest me. You know. I'm not. It doesn't do it for me.
Yeah.
And I have no idea. Even if an omelet, it's going to taste like shit. And then you get guys that are, you know, and I would never critique a restaurant, right? How stupid would it be for me to right now critique about a meal about some new restaurant?
True.
So how the fuck you get some economic or finance journalist that never even went to even fuck business, never went even to finance school, which is roughly around 85 to 90% of them, are writing about businesses. That's like me going right now to some new restaurant and writing the fucking critique about it in a newspaper. What the fuck do I know about making food?
Yeah, it's true.
Well, that's traditional journalism. That's why new media. That's why we have a podcast. You know,
it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
You know, and my first ever podcast was 2 months ago.
Yeah. Shout out Gary.
Shout out. And you know, I've done, and you guys are my third.
We'll take it.
I'm so happy. You know, as soon as I saw it, and people said, you know, Gary, you know, why?
Yeah.
Why? What the fuck? You know, because I always believe also, you know, part of having that good life ideology is people not knowing who you are. It's a cool thing, you know. Like if you walk down right now the street, nobody knows who the fuck you are. You know, you need a couple of bucks. You go into ATM machine, you see like a couple $100 million. You take out your $50. You go down, you know, and you go buy yourself a sandwich at some place, and nobody knows who the fuck you are.
There's a power with it. Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Silence is golden.
Yeah.
And they say, you know, why you?
Why now?
So I got married, you know, I mentioned, and I've been with my wife, and I became a father, and I always worked in Hong Kong and London and all that, but I had been living in Israel for, my wife is Israeli.
Okay.
Moroccan. Tough breed.
Okay.
I love my wife, but anyway, so I lived there. I never really worked there, but I had been living there, and you know, every week or 2 or 3, I'd go to Hong Kong, or Dubai is also very quick. I used to do a lot of stuff in Dubai, and we were in Dubai actually right before we were on a holiday in Dubai. Took my wife, my kids. My mother had never been. I brought my mom, my sister. I brought everybody over to Dubai. And we landed in Israel on October 7th at 1 a.m., 2 a.m. Suitcases, you know, with the bathing suits and all like that. And went to sleep. Woke up in the morning with all the craziness that happened. And alarms and, you know, everybody all like that. My wife said to me, "Get me the fuck out of here." Kind of tough when they close all the airports and I'm with 8 fucking people to get on a plane out. Had to pull a lot of strings, but, you know, deal maker and all that. And we got on the first flight out that was available to go to Athens. So we were literally at late afternoon in Athens. We stayed in Athens for 2 weeks. And I didn't know we were coming, you know, to the States, or everything kind of switched up my life. I got little kids. And after, you know, 2 weeks or so, I have a place in New York. We flew to New York, and after New York came here. Shit changed for me. And it's weird because usually at this age, you don't really change that much. Pretty much. And I'm not going into the war or that. I changed. My view on things changed. Things that I'm willing to accept, things I wasn't willing to accept, that changed too. I have no time for anger. I have no time for fucking wars. I have no time for negative. I just zero interest. Zero, man. Remember, good life.
Yep.
A lot of people get this shit twisted. They think, oh, I'll make the money and then I'll have the good life. Bullshit. If you can't have that good life or can't have a laugh or can't enjoy it on the way to, you're not going to have it when you're later. Yep. So things switched for me. A year and a half, 2 years, I've been working on a very large deal. I look at my kids, say, right, I didn't do anything. I never stole. I never bad. What are they going to read about? What are they going to tell my kids? What does daddy do? What does daddy do?
Yeah.
What the fuck does daddy do? They move money, structure deals, EPC deals. And when I met Gary, first time, he said to me, well, what do you do? I said, I move money. He goes, what the fuck does that mean?
I can imagine his response. Yeah, what the fuck does that mean?
He's like, I don't understand. I said, it's the most clear-cut, simple way I can describe it. And I don't know how many more deals like that I'm going to do. It's very stressful. And I'm looking to be at 50 years old, kind of switch shit around. I think if it gives me good energy to speak to somebody, I'm going to speak. I've never been a for-hire type of person. Somebody chooses not to work with me because I speak on some podcasts. Cool. Yeah. Am I done working? No. I like working. As long as it relates to the good life part.
You're in a different position now.
Yeah, but it's good energy. Like I was, first of all, when I was put on you guys, I didn't have to see more than, I think it was like a minute. It's like, I got to meet these guys. It's good energy.
Appreciate that.
And it transcends, the sound and what you see. And if my stories or my incidents or my experience can be somewhat positive to the other kind of age of deal makers. Us deal makers, we're in the shadows, man. We didn't do it. This is a bad thing. The world goes around with deal makers, I assure you.
Yeah, we got to bring.
I think you making that mindset change is for the best. I think you're gonna enjoy more the not giving a fuck mentality. I think the audience is gonna take something from your story.
Then you get yes, I hope.
Right? They're at least gonna be inspired. A lot of them have never heard of deals at this level.
Neither have I.
Neither have I. And I think we actually need to do a part 2 of this episode because we got lots more to talk about.
I agree. We had so much written down that.
but we wanted to tell your story first. I think that's important, especially being, like you said, the third podcast to do it. It's an honor.
You can understand. I'm if I was, starting out today, I'd be probably there's two. I mean, I'd probably be like, I would have liked to have been the third cat.
It's never too late.
Hey, let us know. We pulled another mic up. We're good to go.
It makes. I would never in a million years, ever speak to, not because God forbid, I don't know who you're speaking to.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be a finance expert. Yes, I studied finance. The stuff I studied I've never used it really in my work environment. But I think when you meet people, and that's the business that you are in, that's the business that I'm in. Sharing stories, sharing energy. After this, if I go for, when I go back home or you guys go wherever, if there was like a good vibe from that day.
You're like on a little high. Yeah.
Say it was a good day.
100%.
It was cool. One day down, 364 more to go for this year, right? And then you say, cool, today was a good day.
I agree.
And for me, it's a good day.
So you
And for
enjoyed
that,
it?
Super, man.
I
I appreciate you guys for doing it. I just, and I'm thinking your audience will like, who the fuck is this guy, And
That's the point. That's the point. We wanted to hear your story. I personally wanted to. We did not much online. So like I said,
sometimes they write, and then sometimes you have to hire these other firms to take down shit.
Yeah,
and then, and then it's and then everything gets crypto. I like crypto, but when I entered crypto, and that
we'll do a whole episode on crypto itself.
They go nuts when you talk about crypto. And, oh man, then people start. Wow.
Yeah. Well, that's why we need a part 2 to this. 100%.
You guys like
But
crypto?
give him the final question. This is the famous.
I love crypto.
We
I'll
love
answer
crypto.
that.
We're big crypto guys.
Really?
Yeah. XRP, Bitcoin.
But of course, Odie, this is the MBH podcast, Money Buys Happiness. So we want to know from you if you believe money buys happiness.
I know that's the name of your podcast, and I've seen obviously, and it sounds like a basic question. It's an extremely complex question.
Okay.
And it depends a lot on the character of the person. A miserable motherfucker with $1 billion in cash will be a miserable motherfucker. Does money buy happiness? No. Does it buy peace, breathability? Yeah, that does. But, if your ass scratched, you need to scratch your ass. And if you were sitting in economy, first class, your itch is still going to be your itch. The only thing is, in first class, you got more room to scratch.
Damn. That's fucking good.
I mean, it's a fact. It's simply a fact.
But it's still going to itch.
Yeah.
The only thing is, if you have the ability to have money, then you have more room. God forbid you're ill, you can get a better doctor or more people. And if that, then yes. Is having 3 cars better than 1 car, or having the car as opposed to that car? I was 22 years old. I didn't have that much, then. I was always around a really cool-looking chick. I was always with a cool-looking crew. I fuck with cool-looking guys, I like to think smart people, badass kind of by character and soul. And money can't buy that. There's a lot of dipshits with a lot of money, and there's a lot of guys on the rise up. I certainly don't like to, think that is life would be too simple if it was that easy.
You took the words out of my mouth, though. We've met a lot of guys with a lot of money who I would never want to, sit down and enjoy a drink with or have a dinner with. And
it's the most important, man. If you can't sit and I don't know, have a sandwich with someone. Just to fucking sit down and have a coffee or a sandwich with someone. Well, what the fuck is it worth?
Yeah, I agree.
You know, there's this. It's a very big guy. You know, I've met some. Once again, the billionaire guys that I've been, you know, friends with they're not traditional, I guess, in the sense of what in the States. You know, it's not like the ones that get a little richer because their stock is on that. You know, I'm talking, you know, the guys that you know, like Mr. Abramovich or some of the others. There was one, you know, that very wealthy guy, over 10 billion, but he's an asshole. And, you know, he was pursuing to do stuff, and, you know, you gotta have a certain, you know, I'm a cool motherfucker. I've always been a cool motherfucker. When I was in school, when I was not in school, when I was there, I like to fuck with cool motherfuckers. And I don't necessarily think that money makes someone that. And I'd rather much more meet someone on the rise than someone at the top.
I agree with that.
Spitting bars at the end.
We've
oh my
seen
god.
we've not at the level that you have,
Of course.
net worth wise, but we've seen it as well, and I totally agree. When there's like a hunger, it's a lot, even for us, it's a lot more inspiring than the guy who's like, yeah, I have this, and this is all the money I have, and this is what the fuck I do, and I can fucking buy this, and I can fucking buy that, and I mean, it depends how you see it. Everything is perspective, obviously, but no, I totally agree with your point on all that, and I guess with that,
OD, thank you for telling your story, my
what
man.
a pleasure.
I mean, for me, thank you.
No, it's been a pleasure. This has been like a masterclass for me. That's why we sat back and just sort of let you kind of go at it, because I'm so inspired, honestly. I can't thank you enough. I really don't.
So when we come back, we got to do one just on crypto.
Oh,
Is that cool?
I love crypto.
Okay.
We're going to pretty much introduce you to the audience with this episode.
I did one of the first institutional. I say it was the first. Some prick will say it wasn't, but I did one of the first institutional investments via England in late 2017, 18.
Bitcoin.
Yeah, we did 50 million in BTCs. And it was a big thing.
Whoever that's a part of now loves them.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. It was only the Russian crowd that they love crypto too, you know, and nobody else would have. We did a large move with that. That was a big thing for us. I love crypto.
And now look at we gotta do a whole episode on that, and there's so many more things I want to ask you, but maybe we'll save it for off camera.
We have some. Yeah, are we off right now? Are we still on? All right,
We're good,
guys.
With that being said, Odie, we can keep going. Appreciate you so much. Seriously, what a masterclass.
No, thank you, man.
It's a pleasure, guys.
Thank you.
If you made this far, of course, like, subscribe, leave a comment. You know what to do, okay? If you weren't inspired after this, stop watching us ever, okay? Don't ever watch another episode, all right? Appreciate you guys. Love you. And we are out.